Accent marks, or diacritics, are everywhere. But if you grew up as a native English speaker, you almost never see them. So how do languages use accent marks? Accent marks vary a lot between languages, which can be confusing when you're a beginning learner. Learning the various ways they can be used, though, is a good first step to improving your speaking and writing skills. Most languages use accent marks to expand on the existing Latin alphabet. After all, the alphabet only has 26 letters, but languages have way more than 26 sounds. Starting very simple, the German language has only 3 letters that use diacritics: A, O, and U, all of which have the famous umlaut. These accent marks show you that they're not pronounced the same as their base letters. Compare
Ba,
and,
Bär, schon,
and,
schön,
and,
Bruder,
and.
Brüder.
French is slightly more complex in its use of accents, with a focus on the letter E. There's the unaccented E of
le nez,
the acute accent E of
L'étudiant.
the grave accent E of
la cuisinière,
and the circumflex E of.
La fête.
The grave accent and the circumflex can appear on other vowels in French, like the A in,
voilà,
the U in,
Où.
and the O in,
l'hôpital,
but these have little to no effect on pronunciation. In addition, French uses a diaresis, which looks a lot like the German umlaut, to convey when two vowels that are usually pronounced together, like
mais,
should be pronounced separately, like.
Le maïs.
Vowels aren't the only ones that get accents. You can add a cedilla to a C in French to indicate that it should be pronounced like a S, like in
le garçon,
when otherwise it would be a K. So far, all of the accent marks we've looked at have slightly changed the pronunciation of the letter they're added to, but that's not all they can do. A good example of this is found in Spanish vowels, where the accent marks don't affect individual letters, but entire words. If a Spanish word doesn't have an accent mark, you put the stress either on the second to last syllable for words that end in N, S, or a vowel, and the last syllable for words that end in anything else. When the stress doesn't follow that pattern, an accent mark shows you where the stress is. With no accent, this word is pronounced
Calculo.
but with an accent, it can be
Cálculo.
or.
Cálculo.
Accent marks can differentiate between similar-looking words, like
il,
meaning the versus
il,
meaning he, though they're pronounced pretty much the same. Spanish has a few other accent marks. There's the diaresis that can appear over the U in words like
el pingüino,
and the tilde over the N for enye. Other languages can use accents both for letter pronunciation and syllable stress. The Portuguese language uses a tilde on vowels for when they should be in nasal, and a cedilla like the one in French to show that a C should be pronounced like S, like in.
a nação,
The language also has acute and circumflex accents to indicate changes in vowel stress and pronunciation, like
O número
and
romântico.
a grave accent to show that two A's should be combined for phrases like.
Há uma hora.
Also, languages that use Latin alphabets aren't the only ones that have accent marks. Russian, for example, has a pretty straightforward set of accents. The main diacritic is the acute accent mark, which shows you where in the word the stress is, like
Уже,
versus,
уже,
but this accent mark is usually only shown in children's books and dictionaries. Russian also has the breve on the letter
y,
as in,
май,
which indicates this letter is pronounced differently from the non-breve letter
i,
as in,
вино,
but they're treated as two entirely separate letters. If you look further, you can find even more distinct uses of accent marks. Listing every accent mark in every language would take hours and hours. But here are a few questions to ask when you start learning a new language. 1. Which accent marks does the language use? There are quite a few. 2. Do the accent marks affect the pronunciation of individual letters, the word stress, or both? 3. Is it possible to figure out the rules for where the accent marks go, or do you just have to memorize the spelling? If you take stock of all the ways accent marks work early on in your learning, it can make your life a lot easier in the long run. Good luck!